The weather's really pleasant. I don't know if you can go for a walk right now, if you're not stuck in traffic or whatever. But, man, it is nice outside. Like, Chattanooga hasn't been this nice in a little bit. And when the cold gets here, because, I don't know, the last couple of years we've just been frozen to death. When the cold gets here, it's not going to be fun. If you can go outside and take a walk right now, like take your kids out, I highly recommend doing that. This is a show where we're going to be talking about a lot of things that happened over the weekend and some things that maybe you don't want to talk about, right? Because if you're a Tennessee fan, I know you really don't want to talk about what happened over the weekend, but we have to. If you're a Georgia fan, I know you really, really don't want to talk about what happened over the weekend, because that could possibly be the single most confusing thing that I have seen this week, where it's just the SEC East is a roller coaster. The whole conference, I mean, the whole division, it's a roller coaster. The entire thing. Because, like, here's the thing. The SEC East is 0-7 against the SEC West. But more importantly, what are they? The SEC East. What on earth are they? The entire division. Because it doesn't make any sense. The SEC East is a division full of teams with zero identity. None. I mean, that goes for Georgia, who from week in and week out, they don't know if they're a passing team or a running team, if their defense works or it doesn't work. Tennessee can't even go from half to half without going Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde on us. I mean, I don't know what the SEC East is. Are they even good? Like, what is Florida? Is Florida's offense actually good? Like, we know their defense is elite, but is their offense even actually good? I don't know. Like, on one hand, you score 40 points. On the other hand, Luke Del Rio's throwing 3 interceptions. He's just given the ball away 3 times. What are you, SEC East? So we'll talk about that, because that raises some really big questions moving forward, including SEC championship game ramifications. We'll also talk about the Falcons and the Titans and what they did over the weekend, and some interesting hijinks from the NFL on Fox. Some very fascinating hijinks. This is Clutch with Keon Rose, and you can check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. I'll just get through this really quickly because I just would like you to know where to find us if you want to join the conversation, if you want to talk. If you want to find us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, then search Hot News Talk Radio. You can stream all of our shows live locally, all of our local shows on YouTube, right? We have that all in video. You can see what our station looks like. This wonderful painting of Marilyn Monroe that Jill Collins, the host of the Art Beat of Chattanooga, did for us. You can also check us out on... Oh, wow, that painting is actually not directly behind me like it used to be. I'll have to move it. You can also check us out on Facebook. We stream all of our shows on Facebook and our website, noogaradio.com, and the TuneIn Radio app, which is absolutely free in your favorite app store. Search Hot News Talk Radio in the app. Give us a favorite. Press play. You'll have Hot News Talk Radio everywhere you go. That's Hot News Talk Radio in the TuneIn Radio app. Listen like you mean it. So my question about the SEC East is, what on earth are you? Because I'm not entirely certain. And can the SEC East even get a win over the SEC West? And this has some interesting questions, right? Because first off, who can beat Alabama? I think the answer to that question is not anybody from the SEC East. Tennessee might have been Alabama's biggest challenge, and Alabama walked through Tennessee about as easily as they walked through Kentucky. Didn't really seem to have a fight on their hands. And I understand that Tennessee's very injured. 16 injured players. It's incredible. That is a ridiculously high number of guys out. There's no way you're going to beat Alabama with 16 injured players, right? But on the one hand, you never stood a chance if you're going to have that many injuries. But on the other hand, where is your depth? And I got a buddy that writes to the Times Free Press, and we were talking about this. Where is your depth, man? Where we know Butch Jones is a marvelous recruiter, right? Like, this is not to question his recruiting ability. He is a fantastic recruiter. But you have guys getting injured, and you can't go to your second unit, you can't go to your reserves without all of a sudden looking like a Division II school? Your offensive line is injured. It's banged up. Your defensive line is banged up. But the second unit is not helping in a way that you don't see with any of the other schools. Like, you don't see it with Alabama, certainly. Alabama's just got depth. You show up, Alabama, if you're Alabama, you've got a player, your left tackle goes down, guess what? You've got another one. Running back goes down, guess what? You've got another one. Like, Alabama's deep. And I get that not everybody can be as deep as Alabama, but you're Tennessee. You're not the University of Incarnate Word. You're not Panera Bread University. You're not the Little Sisters of the Poor. And you've got a heck of a recruiter as a head coach. So how on earth does that happen? Right? Where you've got Josh Dobbs shaking hands with his offensive line because he's never practiced with some of these guys before. They just didn't have reps. What the heck is that? They didn't have reps. The starting quarterback of the football team did not recognize the offensive linemen because they were second unit guys. It's no wonder Alabama picked you apart. Look, I didn't pick you to win the game, but if you had told me they were going to rout you 49-10, I would never have thought that either. I would have thought Tennessee was going to put up a fight. And look, I get it. Injuries impact the game. But then you've got to have depth. Like, injuries you can excuse a loss on injuries. You can't excuse a beatdown on injuries except you lose your quarterback. You lose the quarterback, I get it. You lose the star player, I understand you getting beat down. But you lose 16 guys, it's going to be tough to win. 10 points, though? 10. And by the way, it's not like you scored your touchdown by marching methodically up the field. Derek Barnett went out there, made a play, and gifted you one. I don't know what Tennessee is. And as much as you could just spend this entire segment beating up on Tennessee, which I certainly will not, because I feel like you are angry enough already. The hell is Georgia? Like, that game is even more confusing because you see Jacob Eason passing the ball. You see Jacob Eason passing the ball, but none of this seems to result in actual touchdowns. It's just yards. And, you know, at the end of the game, you run that, was it a jet sweep to IMAC, to Isaiah McKenzie, when you should just give it to Nick Chubb? Like, I am tired of coaches getting clever with themselves on fourth down short yardage situations, or even first down short yardage situations. Don't pass the ball. Don't do a sweep or a shovel pass or a screen pass. Give the ball to your running back and let him run up the middle, especially if that dude is Nick Chubb. What are you, crazy? I understand you've got Jacob Eason. I understand Isaiah McKenzie is a fast man. But Vanderbilt is a good defensive team. It's not like people have been going up against Vanderbilt and just tricking their defenses. and just putting numbers up on them. Vanderbilt cannot score. That is their problem. You don't walk into Vanderbilt and drop numbers on them. Doesn't happen. Especially not since Derek Mason's been there. The one thing that you could say about Derek Mason, if you are not a Derek Mason supporter, I like the guy. I think they should keep him. They need a quarterback. They really do need a quarterback. I mean, you've got Ralph Webb, talented running back, punched in the touchdown from basically the 1 yard line early in the game. Like, I get it. All right. But the one thing you could say about Derek Mason is that guy coaches a good defense. You don't score willy-nilly on Vanderbilt. You've got to be a very prolific offense to do that. And I don't know if you've been watching Georgia football this entire season. Prolific offense, you are not. Potential is there, but you are not prolific. And this is the most confusing thing I have ever seen, is the sweep to Isaiah McKenzie when you have a Nick Chubb. Just turn around and give the ball to Chubb. That's a power football situation. I hate it when coaches go for that slant pass on first down and one, or first down and goal, or fourth down and one. Just turn around and give it to your back, especially if your back is good. Especially if your back is Nick Chubb. All right? Especially if your back is Marshawn Lynch, if your back is Nick Chubb. I mean, just turn around and give it to that guy. And if they don't make it, then they don't make it. You've got a better chance with that. That's not a coin flip. It's unbelievable. And that's everything else. That's excusing everything else, where basically there wasn't any turnovers in the game. You just weren't running the football. To me, if you're passing the ball well, then that sets up your run. Because you could actually work it both ways. Like, football is a sport that really, quite frankly, is all about tricking the defense into thinking that you're going to do something that you are not. And if you are running the ball often, that's why the play action fake works very well. Right? The defense has no choice but to respect the fact that you can run, and then you get to pass the ball. There is a running equivalent of this, and we all know what it is. It's the draw play. It's the draw play. If you've got Nick Chubb, run the ball. Like, I understand Vanderbilt is not a slouch defensively. You're not just going to run amazingly all day long. But Georgia is one-dimensional from game to game. And they pick a dimension, and they stick with it. And so they're very predictable coming down to the ends of games. I don't know if the SEC East is even beating the SEC West this year. And furthermore, I don't know if the SEC title game is even going to be any good. Because it's probably going to be Alabama versus whoever comes out of the East. Possibly Florida. Except, who can trust Florida right now to legitimately go out there and win games? To win a big game, Florida. Florida, whose offense is, it's abysmal. I mean, I don't let the point totals fool you. Don't let them trick you. Their offense is truly awful. It's completely predictable. Luke Del Rio is, at best, when he's at his best, average. Which is fine, right? Like, when we saw him week one, we were like, okay, this is livable. Because if you were a Florida fan last season, the best you were getting out of quarterback was just god awful. Like, after Will Grier got popped with that suspension, and you were forced to rely on Treon Harris, and then you realized how awful it is, a situation to be in, to have to rely on Treon Harris, you would have taken anything. And Luke Del Rio came along and you took him, as you should have. But he, at his best, is average. And you, as Florida fans, should be cool with that, but understand that there's not a whole lot of games that you can win when your quarterback at his best is completely and powerfully average. Like, we're not going to see the great Luke Del Rio game. I don't think. Not against a quality opponent. Okay? And people are jumping the gun, and we're going ahead and giving Florida the inside track to win the SEC East. Like, Florida doesn't somehow have to beat Georgia, which just because Georgia wasn't, they pooed the bed against Vanderbilt. Make no mistake, when Georgia comes back from that, like, that's still a tough team to beat. Okay? And if Georgia decides their identity 2 weeks from now is to run the football, we don't know. There's 1 week is let's pass the ball. That's our identity. We're a passing team. The next week it's let's run the ball. That's our identity. We're a running team. We don't know what Georgia decides their identity is going to be. So if they decide their identity is a running team, you can really beat Florida up there, especially if Georgia is able to get a lead and you just sit on it, because you really are not afraid of Luke Del Rio. Now, that Florida secondary is scary. If you're Georgia and you're playing from behind, it's rough. It's a tough situation to be in. I completely get that, but that's not going to be an easy game if you're Florida. Then you've got to play Arkansas, who is better than you. Completely honestly. Arkansas is straight up better than you. They're a very good team. They did get embarrassed against Alabama, but Arkansas, quality win over Ole Miss. Contained and controlled Chad Kelly. There was no crazy situation this year. They just contained the guy. Made plays defensively. Didn't let him go off. And Chad Kelly is a good quarterback. Like, when Chad Kelly's at his best, he's elite. When Luke Del Rio's at his best, he's average. Arkansas, not afraid of you. I don't think you're beating Arkansas. There's a good chance you could catch 2 L's in the next 3 weeks. You could come off of this bye week, lose to Georgia, very possible. I think Georgia is every bit as good as you are. They just underachieve magnificently. And then Arkansas is better than you. And then South Carolina, you really ought not to lose to South Carolina, but I honestly don't tell you that. Honestly, I don't know what to tell you about what it is that Luke Del Rio is capable of in that situation. And then you've got to beat LSU down in Baton Rouge. So have fun doing that. And then you've got to end the season with Florida State. You really think you're coming away winning the East with this one? The rest of Florida's schedule is not fun. Consider this, arrogant Gator fan. Your team just finished the easy part of its schedule. The second half of your schedule is significantly worse. Tennessee just finished the hard part of their schedule. Really, they ought to cruise through this. Now, it's Tennessee. They don't cruise through anything. They give you heart attacks week in and week out. But I'm saying they ought to cruise through this. There is no cruising for you. There is no cruising for Florida, Georgia, Arkansas, South Carolina, LSU, Florida State. Yeah, you're not coming out of this one unscathed. You are not winning out. If you win out, you do win the East. You're not winning out. And I understand we don't know exactly how good LSU actually is. We know that South Carolina is actually bad. But Arkansas is not. Florida State's not. I mean, it's hard to tell in the ACC, too. The ACC is not unlike the SEC East. Who in that conference is actually good? I don't know. It's starting to get, honestly, truly infuriating. Because it's one of those things, and I talk about this with Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton all the time. People, you ought to know who you're voting for by now. Like, you ought to know if you're a running team or a passing team by now. As a conference or as a division of football, we ought to know if you're good or bad by now. And we don't know. And that is truly just frustrating. Not just as a person who has to get on the radio and talk about this stuff, like I know what I'm talking about, but like as a fan, I just want to be like, no, I want to sit down and watch the SEC East because they're good, and I can't. So I got to tune in and watch the SEC West. So I'm going to talk about Alabama next.
News Talk 1240 AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio with your chance to win $124 in cash and $124 in food every week with the Hot News Talk Radio 1, 2, 3 NASCAR contest. Hot News Talk 1240. All you have to do is guess who's going to be first, second, and third place in the upcoming NASCAR Sprint Cup race. If you guess it, you'll hear your name live Monday morning at 11:30. Then call AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio to win. Enter your guess right now at Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds, 5301 Brainerd Road, Chattanooga. Diesel Off-Road Technology Saudi Daisy for your four-wheel drive and truck needs. Stuff and upholstery with premium rubber foam. Amigos Mexican Restaurant next to Staples and Hickson. Drink specials during the race. Cell Surgeon, the Broken Screen Doc. And Shooter's Supply, 4824 Hickson Pike in Hickson. Hot News Talk 1240. Enter your guesses now and listen to the race live to win $124 in cash and $124 in food from Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station. Hot News Talk 1240. I love NASCAR. Cash, 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 and more cash. Rick Davis has the cash when you sell gold, silver, diamonds, rings, and jewelry. Sell Rick your precious metals today and lock in your price. Hey, Rick Davis will trade your cash for shiny, brilliant, and heavy gold. Gold cheaper now by $100 an ounce. Join the Rick Davis Silver Bonanza too. Prices so low, the Lone Ranger is bound to gallop in, Kimosabe. Hey-ho, silver, away! The markets are changing, so buy now. Cash, 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 and more cash for your silver and gold, gold, gold. Rick Davis, 5301 Brainerd Road. That's 5301 Brainerd Road. Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds. Oh, and cash, cash, cash. You know where it is. Hey-ho, silver, away!
You want more business. You want to increase your bottom line. You want to spend less on advertising, imaging your business, and general expenses. You need Trade Bank. Trade Bank of Chattanooga. Trade Bank. Call now to get access to nearly 400 local businesses. Trade Bank. Call 877-2202. 877-2202. Trade Bank. You want to increase your cash flow, your competitive edge, attract new customers, and build a loyal customer base. You need Trade Bank of Chattanooga. Call right now. 877-2202. When you join Trade Bank, you'll get the benefit of free advertising in our monthly magazine, tradebank.com, emails, and mailouts. Join Trade Bank now and receive your Trade Bank debit card with trade credits to spend any way you want with our wide variety of Trade Bank partners. For almost 30 years, Trade Bank has been your voice for small business, a member of the American Bankers Association, and in good standing with you. Trade Bank of Chattanooga. Call now for a free consultation, 877-2202. That's 877-2202. Trade Bank of Chattanooga.
Expect some passing clouds, but still dry and warm out there. High temperatures of around 80 tonight. A few more clouds, overnight lows much milder, 60 to 62. Check out JCPenney and get an extra 20% off select items with your JCPenney credit card and coupon, or 15% with any other form of payment. That's getting your pennies worth at JCPenney. And I'm Sorgene 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Orr on AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Hot 1240 Hot News Talk Radio with your Hot News Now update. 2 shootings over the weekend in the Chattanooga area. A man was shot on Moss Street in the leg after an apparent drive-by shooting. 22-year-old Darius Hurd pierced through the leg and taken to the hospital. And on the same day, a young girl was hit in the shoulder after another shooting at 10:45 p.m. on Sunday. She's in the hospital in critical condition. In Cleveland, Tennessee, a young man was witness to a deadly house fire which claimed the life of one woman. Investigators, after the fire was put out, investigators inspected the home to find the body of a woman dead inside the home. TBI's bomb and arson investigators are currently on scene. The woman's name has not been released. In Dalton, Georgia, a working man ran out of gas and pulled over to the side of the highway. When he got out to walk towards a gas station, he was struck and killed by a car. Jerry Jones, who's 63, was apparently wearing dark coveralls and black boots when he was hit by Kimberly Young, who's 37, who couldn't see him. No charges are being pressed against the young woman. If it's going on in the Tennessee Valley, it's going on Hot 1240 Hot News Talk Radio.
Horton Truex Jr. is off the pace and he is headed to the pit lane. Elliott powers around the outside. Michael McDowell pops the right front tire. Here's Horton Truex to the bottom. Blaney blocks him off too. Meanwhile, Chase Elliott went 4 wide on the back straightaway. They're side by side for the lead.
Hear it live on Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station.
Hot News Talk 1240.
The voice of NASCAR.
So I got something for you. Something even somehow more ridiculous than the SEC East. Because the SEC East is unknowable. It's unknowable. To human minds, we're never going to decipher until at least the end of this season exactly what on earth it is that we are watching every weekend. If you are a fan of a team in the SEC East. I'm pretty sure basically only Vanderbilt knows what it is that they are watching. And even then, because that Georgia Tech game was absolutely confusing to me. So maybe not even then. But mostly, it seems like if you are a fan of Vanderbilt, you know what Vanderbilt is right now. Sometimes they'll disappoint you, but at least you know. Everybody else, I got nothing. Florida, don't know what to tell you. Tennessee, don't know what to tell you. Georgia, don't know what to tell you. I suppose Kentucky knows what they are too. But I don't know for better or for worse on that one. Like you're looking at the standings, and by virtue of being 2-2 in the conference, technically, despite being 3-3 overall, Kentucky is second in the SEC. Just, second in the SEC East. Kentucky. What is this conference? Like South Carolina, you know what you are too. You're rebuilding is what you are. And Missouri's just bad. And bad in large part because they thought Drew Lock was eventually going to be, the guy. When they recruited Drew Lock, they were under the impression that Drew Lock was going to become something brilliant. And Drew Lock has been okay. And that's not okay for them because they thought that they were getting more than that. But they threw Drew Lock to the Wolves in his first season, and he played well for being thrown to the Wolves. The problem is he's still playing like that now. Now we've expected some kind of progression, some kind of development. We just haven't seen it. And I don't know if it's something that they're doing or if he's just legitimately not developing anymore. But whatever the case is, we aren't seeing the production out of Drew Lock that we hoped that we would see. And so, yeah, you've got an entire conference of confused football teams. Erstwhile in the SEC West. Bama, great. A&M, good. Auburn started to turn stuff around, albeit against Southern Miss and Louisiana Monroe. It's not like, that was LSU. But LSU turned things around too after starting off very slowly. Auburn, LSU, Arkansas, Ole Miss. Only Mississippi State is bad. And Mississippi State's not bad out of lack of identity. Mississippi State's just bad because they're bad. I mean, they lost Dak Prescott and couldn't replace him. That'll make you bad. That'll make anybody bad. If you had a quarterback like that and you watch what Dak Prescott is doing at the NFL level to the point where you could legitimately make the case that Dak Prescott is about to Tom Brady, Tony Romo. There were questions at the beginning of the season. Was Jimmy Garoppolo going to Tom Brady? No, that was never going to happen. But little did we know someone was going to pull a Brady job on somebody. We just didn't know was Dak Prescott going to pull it on Tony Romo. You got a guy that can do that at the NFL level. He was on your football team. He didn't make a ton of mistakes for you. He made a lot of big plays. He basically was your football team. And the only reason why Dan Mullen basically got a raise at Miss State. Yeah, you look at Miss State now, without him, it's not the same team. They didn't have a good team last year. They had a bad team surrounding Dak Prescott. Yeah, anybody would be bad after that. This is not a lack of identity issue. I think the reason why the SEC East is bad is because they don't know who they are, which is not a great way to be through life, right? Think about when you were 20 years old or in your 20s. I am in my 20s now, but it's not a problem that I've ever had. I knew I always wanted to do radio. This is just kind of where I needed to be. And I always knew. I just did. Most people don't get that lucky. I understand that I'm lucky for that. Most people are not that fortunate to know what it is that they are doing. And when you're in your 20s, the reason why you're 20-something years old and you feel like your life is falling apart and everything is so confusing is you have no idea what on earth you are doing. You have no identity yet. That's when your identity gets built. That's why by the time you reach your 30s, you basically are who you are. We're not trying to fix you at 30-something, right? Like if you've got bad habits, anybody can change at any time. I'm not saying that you can't, but you are who you are. The SEC East got no identity, so it's bad, and it looks bad, and it feels bad. It feels bad just watching it. Like watching Georgia and Vanderbilt is like hurting yourself. I don't want to go Donald Trump on this because Donald Trump will just sue everybody, or at least threaten to sue everybody. That's his deal. But I should just sue Georgia and Vanderbilt for what happened on Saturday. In fact, I should just sue Georgia because I don't know exactly what the game plan was there. It just didn't look good. What was that? Ugh. You're listening to Hot 1240 Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. Can anybody beat Alabama? Can anybody beat them? They're playing Texas A&M next. And that's the last team that it feels like can legitimately beat Alabama. Alabama has not played a game this season in which their defense has not scored at least one touchdown. Alabama has not played a game this season where they have scored less than 30 points. Is Alabama actually unbeatable? If you look at their secondary, if you look at what Arkansas was able to do against them, right? Austin Allen, 400 yards. The Razorbacks put up 30 points. You can test that secondary. Jalen Hurts, he's still a freshman. There's really no reason why Alabama ought to look this unstoppable. There are actually holes on that team, identifiable holes that you can exploit. If you have a pass rush, you can get past that offensive line. If you have a fast pass rush, I should say. You can't do it with a bunch of big guys. You're not going to outpower Alabama. But if you have a quick pass rush, you can get past that offensive line. The problem is that Jalen Hurts is running out of the backfield and making plays with his feet. Right? The lack of depth for Alabama at quarterback. They're going to have to go to Cooper Bateman if anything should happen to Jalen Hurts. So there's weaknesses of this team. Like, it's not an unbeatable team. The issue here is they haven't played against anybody capable of beating them. And if you look at the rest of the schedule, after Texas A&M, I don't see anybody else on this schedule capable of beating them. And that, of course, includes the SEC championship game because nobody in the SEC East is capable of beating them. The Aggies are the last team. Now, here's the thing. The Aggies are probably the only team matchup-wise because I just don't think Tennessee ever really matched up well against Alabama. Matchup-wise, the Aggies are the only team that really match up well and have the talent to do it. The Aggies' identity is that they are surprisingly for a Kevin Sumlin team, a very well-rounded team. They pass the ball very well. They run the ball very well. They are a solid defensive unit. They were never this with Kevin Sumlin before. This is the reason why we were talking about this dude getting fired in the first place. They were never a well-rounded team. It was all offense, and not just offense. It was all chuck it down the field with him. When you look back at the last time Texas A&M was really some team that you could pick to win the West, back when they had Johnny Football, that was the team. Johnny Football was the team. He was making all the big plays. Right? And now you're looking at Texas A&M and you're going, who replaced Texas A&M with like LSU a few years back? Now Texas A&M looks like the solid team. And the thing is, they don't ever get off schedule, right? Like they're never going to be in a situation where they're playing from so far behind that they've got to just start flinging the ball all over the place. Just never been in that situation. And once they get ahead, they run the ball. They make enough plays passing the ball to stay ahead of you. You don't get to catch up and legitimately beat them, with the exception of Tennessee getting that chance. They're the most well-rounded team, and they've got the chops to attack that Alabama secondary. And they've got a quarterback with the arm strength and the acumen to do it, which no disrespect to Josh Dobbs. But with the offensive line in the state it is, we know Josh Dobbs is not a great passer under pressure. Most quarterbacks aren't. And his numbers prove that he's not any different from that. Under pressure, he's not a great QB, and going down the field is not an option. Simply not an option for him. When he's got time, he does have the arm strength to deliver. When he's got time, he does have the accuracy to deliver. A&M is the last thing that we've got. They're the team with the shoestring tackle that could slip up Alabama a little bit. Because this entire college football season is looking like a fantastic waste of time if you are now watching Alabama football. Legitimately. You're listening to Hot 1240 Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. Thank you for joining me. We do this thing from every day from 6 to 7. Make sure to check us out tomorrow. And by the way, make sure to check us out in the TuneIn Radio app. It's free. The TuneIn Radio app. Whatever app store you prefer, search for the TuneIn Radio app and then search for Hot News Talk Radio in the app. Give us a favorite and press play. You'll have Hot News Talk Radio everywhere you go. That is Hot News Talk Radio partnering with the TuneIn Radio app. Listen like you mean it. So I was watching the Titans game yesterday, caught a little bit of it. The Redskins, which is the team I root for, they were playing the Eagles. So I did miss chunks of the Titans and the Browns yesterday. But I did get the opportunity to watch Marcus Mariota, and I got to say, I'm impressed with him. I'm also very much impressed with what it is that Mike Mularkey has done. I feel like Mike Mularkey just backed off of let's throw Marcus Mariota under center. Let's just throw him under center and make him be an under center pocket quarterback. It in no way reflects the skill set of Marcus Mariota. And you can't do that to people. Right? Like the famous Albert Einstein quote is that everybody's intelligent, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it's going to seem stupid to you. Marcus Mariota is not going to succeed from under center because that's not what he is. That's not what he has ever done. And it's not to say that he can't. But A, why should he? The league is moving away from doing that. And B, it's going to take time for him to do that. You can't just throw him under center and make him do that the most and expect good things to happen. But here's the thing. The Titans ran a lot of read option looks yesterday. They didn't necessarily run a lot of read option. They did open up the game with a read option, and I think Marcus Mariota ended up tearing off like a 30-yard run or something like that. Marcus Mariota's skill set is his legs. And while he is a very accurate passer, very smart, you could see him going through his progressions, making all of the right throws, throwing with great timing, which is something that a lot of quarterbacks that you would call mobile quarterbacks or dual threat quarterbacks tend to have a problem doing is converting that timing to their arm to say, okay, I'm going to be patient in the pocket, keep my eyes down the field, and hit the open guy. Marcus Mariota was doing that all over the field yesterday. And yes, I understand that they were playing the Browns, but make no mistake, the Browns are not a bad football team necessarily. They are a dumpster fire, but they are very good at key points. And I'm actually very impressed with the Browns. The Browns have not just been rolling over and getting squashed by everybody. They've been losing to everybody, but they haven't been squashed by everybody. Everybody is getting a fight from the Browns. Every single person. And by the way, you are getting a fight from the Browns with Cody Kessler as the starting quarterback. And while I was impressed with the Titans defense, there were some plays that Cody Kessler was making. He was just making them that day. Cody Kessler was just going to be making plays that day because the Browns fight you. Every single inch they fight you. So I was very impressed with what the Titans were able to do against Cleveland. They really offensively opened up. There was a lot more Marcus Mariota in the shotgun. There was a lot more of a spread type look. Marcus Mariota murdered the Browns off the play action fake. Absolutely murdered them. It was over 100 yards. I don't remember exactly what the number was. It was over 100 yards off of the play action fake, which makes sense because it gets Marcus Mariota moving. He's rolling out of the pocket. It's very West Coast offense looking. And some of those play action fakes are the read option looks that I was talking about. It looks like the read option. But it's not the read option. It's just a play action fake. But you've got to defend against all possibilities. And that's where he's killing you. So having Marcus Mariota is a fantastic asset for you. And I like his development. I like that I see him going through his progressions. This is the season where a lot of guys take a step back if they're having a great season like that, right? Like you saw the step back from RG3. You saw the step back for Cam Newton a few years back, where Cam Newton had that Rookie of the Year campaign, and then he regressed sort of in his second season. I don't even want to say he's regressing now, coming off the MVP. I think that whole team regressed, which is different. But you're not seeing that same regression for Marcus Mariota, and the Titans are benefiting as a result. And they are now 3-3. As many wins as they had last season, and very much able to win this AFC South. And I understand that the Texans won yesterday, despite all kinds of reasons why they pretty much shouldn't have, except that the Colts don't have a defense. Just really don't have one built up over there. This AFC South is for the taking if you're the Titans. You have to think so. Because the Texans, despite what it looked like last night, aren't actually any good. I refuse to believe that Brock Osweiler is a good quarterback. I don't think he is. I think he has potential too. He's one of the young guys of the division, one of the young guns of the division. But Brock Osweiler is not a good quarterback, as seen by his abuse of DeAndre Hopkins. And what do I mean by abuse? I mean neglect. How do you have a guy like that and can't find a way to throw the ball downfield to him? DeAndre Hopkins really ended up completely uninvolved in that game. And I'm glad I don't have DeAndre Hopkins in fantasy because I don't know how mad I would be. Throw him the ball. He's one of the top 5 receivers in the league. He is right up there with an Odell Beckham Jr., a Julio Jones, an AJ Green, and you pretty much have to put your boy DeAndre Hopkins right in that list. And Brock Osweiler can't find. Yeah, I am convinced Brock Osweiler is not a good quarterback. Just convinced. Like, when you look at what the Panthers have done, how the Panthers have fallen apart without Josh Norman, you can't say that the Denver Broncos didn't make a good decision not paying him. Because I don't know that he's doing much better than Trevor Siemian, if he's doing better than Trevor Siemian at all on that football team. That's very hard to say. I mean, come on, man. And then you've got the Colts, like I said, no defense over there. How about you give Andrew Luck an offensive line? Is that at all possible? No, not going to happen. And Jacksonville looks like they want to try and take this thing too. So, I mean, you've got a three-way fight, it looks like, between the Texans, Titans, and Jags. The Colts are just falling away into the distance. And this is where I've disagreed with Colin Cowherd for ages, that Andrew Luck is this brilliant quarterback. I think Andrew Luck is a very good quarterback. I think Andrew Luck is at times a very great quarterback. But I don't want to give somebody the accolades because they won a weak division. It does matter if you play in a weak division. And the AFC South is one of the weakest divisions. Also, in the NFL, the Falcons played the Seahawks. Julio Jones got robbed on a pass interference. Richard Sherman, one of the most egregious and obvious pass interferences I've ever seen. And it would have given the Falcons a chance to try and to take the lead and possibly win the game with a field goal. And the pass interference was not called. Now, here's the thing. You get to some of these bang plays coming down to the end of the game, and refs have a tendency to swallow their whistle. Nobody wants to be the person to influence the game incorrectly in those moments. So sometimes you have pass interferences and things of that nature that end up going uncalled because what if I'm wrong? What if I'm the person that throws the flag on an invisible pass interference? Because if the ref had done that, if there were no pass interference and he throws the flag, well, he's getting killed on Seattle talk radio today. There was pass interference and he didn't throw the flag, so now he's getting killed down here. It's a lose-lose situation in most situations. So refs a lot of times end up not making a decision, which of course is a decision and cost the Falcons the game, but did not cost them their lead in the NFC South. It may be one of those losses that comes back and bites you later. 4-2. That's your record. The NFC South, of which the Panthers are definitely out of. The Panthers are out of it. The Saints hanging in there. And the Bucs hanging on. Winning some ugly games, but they're winning. Tell me, would you rather have a good-looking loss or a W? Tampa Bay says, give me that W. So you've got that happening every single day. You're listening to Hot 1240, Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. Now, here's some hijinks on the NFL on Fox that I thought was just absolutely hilarious and possibly more confusing than the entirety of the SEC East and or the ACC. They were showing pictures of Sam Bradford and how good Sam Bradford had been since he had come to Minnesota. And it's interesting to me because they didn't even get the picture of Sam Bradford in the new Minnesota uniform. They just photoshopped Sam Bradford and his head on top of Teddy Bridgewater's body. How lazy are you? And not only lazy, but stupid and lazy. Because would it not just have been easier to get a picture of Sam Bradford? Just photoshopped his head onto Teddy Bridgewater's body? It was a bad Photoshop job. And the graphic is so bad. I'm going to post it on the website. Because I cannot believe this. I cannot believe this. They photoshopped it. It was a bad Photoshop job. NFL on Fox should be ashamed of yourself. And of course, the Vikings Twitter went at them. They said, hey guys, we've got some pictures for you if you want. Thanks for listening. This is Hot 1240, Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. Remember, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. I'll see you in 24 hours, but don't you go anywhere. Alex Jones is up next. Presidential debate on Fox at 9.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
I'm blowing everything up. We're starting over. I'm doing the new show. I want guys who push it to the middle of the table and go over the top. Take a risk, fail miserably. I'm right, and I'm not wrong, and I'll never back down. Conflict works. Allow it.
It's The Herd with Colin Cowherd. Right here and everywhere. Noon Eastern.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Listen up, y'all. Ben Phillips, Home Rate Mortgage, 805-9100. I'm in the business of saving people money. And if you want to save money, pick that cell phone up right now, 805-9100. I received a call that I won't forget. The guy is a Chattanooga police officer who served our great country in the Air Force. A true American hero. Our hero was renting, which cost too much for a space too small. We helped him achieve the American dream. And the best part is this. He purchased a $180,000 home with zero down. His payment is $200 less than what his rent was. And now he has a safe place with more space to raise his family. It's easy, and you can do it too. It just takes 10 minutes and one phone call. 805-9100.
Turn a house into a home.
We've got a table here at Delia's, ready to delight in a plate of authentic Mexican food. Delia spreads a rich selection: loaded nachos, crazy chicken, homemade tamales, maybe the enchiladas with beef, chicken, pork, quesadillas. Every dish beautifully pictured on the menu to help us decide. We're at Delia's in Saudi Daisy near the Thrasher Light. There's dinner. Delia's uses the freshest ingredients, cooked to perfection. Nacho chips made fresh every day in the kitchen. Delia's, open every day except the Lord's Day. Treat yourself to Delia's genuine Mexican food. 521-7145.
I'm Larry Daniels from Daniels Insurance, and on the average, our customers save $400 a year. We offer retirement vehicles and annuities in addition to other investment products that help you protect your family. Call 423-332-4774.
You used to call me on my cell phone.
When you crack your screen, mess up your charge port, you get soaked in a rainstorm, what do? Save money, save big, fix it, get surgery. There's a cell phone hospital near you. It's the Cell Surgeon. Adam Disbro, the man in white, he replaces your screen, fixes your buttons, gives you back Twitter, Facebook, your online universe. Walk-in patients go to Cell Surgeon in Ottawa. Cell Surgeon is new in Ottawa, next to Zaxby's. Other docs in the cell repair business are just lab coats. The doc at Cell Surgeon is the best. He wants you to be happy, fix your phone, save money, and save time. Every minute is valuable, and Cell Surgeon doesn't want to waste a second. Your wireless MD, the Cell Surgeon, quick and precise with your device. Takes an hour or less. Northgate Mall, Cell Surgeon next to Old Chicago Pizza, 900-8263, thecellsurgeon.com. Like him on Facebook.
You used to call me on my... You used to.
Finding just the right place to live can be a daunting task.